Thank you so much for your heartfelt participation in the Drawdown and Environmental Justice Workshop. In this video, I will read an excerpt from Drew Dellinger's poem Hieroglyphic Stairway, followed by your reflections on the poem and the class. It's 3:23 in the morning, and I'm awake because my great-great-grandchildren ask me, in dreams, what did you do while the planet was plundered? What did you do when the earth was unraveling? Surely you did something when the seasons started failing, as the mammals, reptiles, birds were all dying. Did you fill the streets with protest when democracy was stolen? What did you do once you knew?
The poem, Rebecca?
My reflection on whenever I've heard that poem in the past, it always kind of scares me a tiny bit because I'm yet like now is the time that I personally would be tackling all the issues that are mentioned in it, if that makes sense. Like it's not so much of, I guess it's scary to put myself ahead and like look back on what I've accomplished or like what I did personally in my life to change the things that I care about, you know?
I don't know if this is the most positive thought to have. I think it brings up some of the some resentment that I have towards older generations right now. You know, we've known about a lot of these things for a really long time, and just no significant steps, like no truly significant steps have ever really been taken.
So I definitely kind of connected to the generational aspect of the poem too, and kind of how I feel like I'm still pretty young, but as I'm transitioning into adulthood, I'm kind of realizing, like Rebecca, like it's sort of on me to do the things that I've always looked up to my parents to do, and the things that I look for guidance for them, like from them. But that's gonna be me in like 10 years. So yeah, better start acting now, I think.
Yeah. So, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I don't like, I don't have like resentment too much to my parents, but maybe to other older generations like that I've seen that are very wasteful. Like you would say, well, why would they do that? Like it's so much easier just to compost your, like to me I was like, so much easier to compost your food waste than to put it in the regular trash. So yeah.
Actually, the thing that really comes to mind to me with the poem is, to me, it is the younger generation right now who is on fire with speaking out and creating movement. So I'm actually curious when that generation gets older, if the poem still carries the same meaning, or not. I shouldn't say same meaning, but I just think that there's so much that this younger generation is doing. And I've seen this across the board, that there's an awareness that is happening with our youth that I think hasn't existed before. And so I think that there's a lot of movement and growth that can happen with them. So that's what I think the poem really brought about to me, was like, yes, they're asking what their grandparent did, but I actually am much more curious what they will have to say to their grandchildren, because I think this generation is going to be doing a lot. So what I was saying with this is that I often like to use art and words. And so I picked 3 words that that came from my experience with this class. And then I picked art to go along with it. The first one was something I wasn't expecting to find, and I did, which was community. And I love trees, and so I picked the tree, this one with the tree where you see it's kind of branching out and it's connecting different things. But then I also liked the art where you see it in the idea of a world, but you see so many different things going on with it. And I think the reason why the community aspect was important to me was that, like, even in the beginning, we could say what we were wanting to do. Like, I remember Paxton was sharing something about what he was doing. I think you were building a garden outside, and I was looking for, refillable stuff. And what was cool was that I wasn't expecting to find was that the community of people here who were able to talk to each other and give ideas and suggestions, which I think has been really helpful for my growth. So that was my first word. Wait a minute. There you go. Second word, expanding horizons. This is something that I hoped to find, and I felt like I did. Here, I'll get that down. And I picked these images. The one on the right is, I kind of love this one because there's this dark pink hue that is just above the ocean. And I feel like that's what we're moving towards in expanding horizons. Each person brings their own viewpoint, and that viewpoint expands my horizon. And so these are the two images that I kind of picked to go along with it. And the other one I liked because I feel like sometimes the expanding horizons can actually go in a lot of different directions, and it's kind of endless. And then my last word, why is it not? Oh, there we go, movement forward. So the major reason why I wanted to do this was I really believe in movement forward, and I wanted to take better steps. And this is what I felt like this class, between community, between what you taught us, but also in hearing different viewpoints, it all sort of came together to help move me forward in a better direction. And these are the images. The wave is actually, my roommate painted that.
Wow.
I did a post recently about movement and combined it with her art. And so I really love it because it really embodies that idea of moving. And then I picked the other one too, which, again, similar to the last one, I actually think movement can go in all different types of directions. And where you can go, like the possibilities are endless. And so I think that was why I picked that guy. So
All right. So I actually wrote a poem about like kind of the end product. And basically, like, what I've gotten from this is that this class has been a really great, I think, jumping off point for things that I would consider doing in the future and activities that I would like consider, getting really invested in. And so here it goes. Starting a newer journey, returning to what was old, now seen as profound, growing my roots one step at a time, educating, listening, learning, beginning. This is the start of a process, one bigger than me, than you, than us. The environment, this little community, the hope that what I have learned, heard, observed, I will carry with me long after these weeks with you. The seed is planted, the soil is watered, all there's left to do is try, and my tendrils are reaching up towards the sky. So, yeah.
Of course, people of color have been saying these things for years, and of course, the issues continue at this time to hit people of color harder than everyone else. So I thought I had been listening before now, and I believed people of color when they told me that there were issues, that there are environmental injustices, and I did want to do something about them. But I didn't listen when they said that they were my problems too. I thought it was a cry for help, and I didn't understand that it was a warning. So in the same way, I definitely did not think racial justice and the environment were intertwined in the way that they are. I thought that they were related, of course, because everyone suffers from the effects of climate change, and I knew that those effects would fall up. And I thought that if we got the environmental problem solved, that could be enough. With maybe some extra funds or protections would be necessary for marginalized communities. And I did really believe that it was possible to solve one without solving the other, and that even that progress on one could distract or even detract from the other. And so this class and recent events have helped me see that it's the same basic forces in society behind racism and environmental damage. One doesn't exacerbate the other. They have the same root in the way our society is structured.
Well, I really enjoyed going to all these meetings, and I think every week it definitely like motivates me to like do something and instead of just like putting it off.
Mhm.
And I also think that it's, yeah, like before we started, I like didn't know anything about like environmental racism or anything like that, because a lot of the time people like know, like they, like everybody knows like the environment is obviously dying, but it's like really overwhelming, like you don't know where to start like to help. And so I think it was nice that I kind of learned like the different branches basically. So it's, you can like figure out how you can help more easily by starting in different steps instead of trying to like fix the whole thing. So yeah. Yeah. So before we were kind of like only planning to like share our trees with like just the community around us, but now we've realized there's lots of other communities that,
Hope that's not me.
sorry. So now I think we definitely know we're going to try and expand more to other communities that also need it.
Okay.
But overall, I appreciate you having us join the group because it gave us not just structure and support and accountability, but it really opened our, like it broadened our way of thinking. And I really appreciate the guests that you had last week. Just kind of being able to be like, okay, you don't have to be the expert, like you don't have to know everything, but you can still make a difference and an impact and help people without being like, you know, I like in the beginning I was thinking, oh, I have to become a master gardener before I can teach people how to plant things or teach people. So you have this, like, I don't know if it's because how I was brought up or society saying, okay, without your certification or your, you know, experience, that you're not like an environmental expert. So I like that it's more the social justice of it is like, you know, you can share what you have and share the abilities that you have, and there's a lot you can do with, you know, just the skill set that you have, just caring about other people and being involved. So yeah.
I actually have comments for Paxton, Grace, and Winchia. I'm going to start with Paxton and just say thank you for your honesty, because I am also feeling the same thing of what you talked about. And so it is nice hearing that from you, because I feel that same way. And also this feeling of like, it has always been on my mind, but I kept feeling like I couldn't do anything about it now. And I realized that like I was looking towards the future, and I was like, I need to stop looking towards the future and take ownership of my own responsibility in it now. So I just wanted to say thank you for being honest with that, with your experience. And then I actually want to tie Winchia and Grace together. There is something that Grace said in her poem, and I'm going to apologize if I botch this up, but I think you said educate, learn, and listen. And I think what is important about that, and even with what Winchia was saying, is like, it's all of those things together, and our ability to grow and evolve as humans. It is about listening, it's about learning, but it's also about educating, and that some of our ability to actually retain the information happens when we can share it with other people and educate other people the things that we're learning. And so I actually think I wanted to comment on that before when Grace had shared it, but I felt like with when Chia had said as well, that like you don't have to be an expert to take the information that we're learning and bring it to other people. You know, I'll go back to the fact that I'm a storyteller, and like our show, like I'm not an expert, but and really technically neither were our hosts. I mean, Darren kind of was, but like we could use that platform to give experts a voice to share with other people. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for putting those words out to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. I have a little bit of, I'm not sure if this is a poem. I think it is a poem. I don't know if any of you have heard it. It's from Clarissa Estes Pinkola, and the title is We Were Made for These Times. And it actually it gained a resurgence when the COVID virus first broke. And so this is my offering to you. Somebody else wrote it, but I'm going to do another little recitation. My friends, do not lose heart. We were made for these times. I've heard from so many recently who are deeply and properly bewildered. They're concerned about the state of affairs in our world now. Ours is a time of almost daily astonishment and often righteous rage over the latest degradation of what matters most to civilized, visionary people. You are right in your assessments. The luster and hubris some have aspired to, while endorsing acts so heinous against children, elders, everyday people, the poor, the unguarded, the helpless, is breathtaking. Yet, I urge you, ask you, gentle you, to please not spend your spirit dry by bewailing these difficult times. Especially do not lose hope, most particularly because the fact is that we were made for these times. Yes, for years we've been learning, practicing, been in training for and just waiting to meet on this exact plane of engagement. I grew up on the Great Lakes, and I recognize a seaworthy vessel when I see one. Regarding awakened souls, there have never been more able vessels in the water than there are right now across the world. And they are fully provisioned and able to signal one another as never before in the history of mankind. It goes on, but I'm getting so emotional, I'm just gonna stop right there. I will send you that poem. And I think it speaks to you. I hope it speaks to you and it speaks of you. You are all righteously seaworthy vessels, and it's been a real honor to create this vehicle for our messages with you. And just so you know, I had put the message out there thinking, where am I going to find another, 8 people? That was just a fluke. And yet this morning, or at 3 p.m., I had, I think it was 6 people on the call, maybe more. I'm just going to keep plugging away. Thank you for birthing this.